It is Friday, Frasia's day, or Venus's day, goddess of love and goddess of connecting. And so we're going to talk here about how to really work with Venus. And I know for me, the way that I tend to use my Fridays is to relax a little bit. I still work, but I make sure I go a little bit easier on myself. It's a great day for self care. Venus rules over Taurus, which is all about comfort and relaxation, wanting to make sure like we're comforted and nourished and taken care of. And she also rules over Libra, which is a sign for socializing, right? It has a lot of energy for socializing. So she rules over those spaces of connecting things, connecting people, connecting resources. She's great for attracting things. Doing a manifestation work on Friday is fantastic. Her and Jupiter are seen as the two most benevolent planets. And this makes sense because if you really dive in to the way that the ancients looked at Venus, we often see her as like the goddess of love, and she is, but more so than just like love and romance. She connects things, right? She draws them together, she pulls them together. And so from that, we have this concept of the ancients where she really is a foundational piece to existence and to life. If you look through the Orphic hymns, she is essentially the mother of life because everything that's living has to have that interaction, right? It has to typically, there's a sexual interaction. Even if it's asexual, we know by biochemistry, it still requires a resplicing of things, right? And the ancients were able to observe that most things had this aspect of a sexual intercourse or like pollination of the plants. And so you had pollen and you had the blossoms and the blooms. And so she's seen as really this aspect of like the source of life, right? And if we look at it through physics, like that force that connects the proton and the electron, that force that connects atom to atom and creates these molecules, that is that Venus essence. And while the ancients, some of the ancients had a theory about atoms, um, mostly they were working with theories of elements and how elements came together to form and shape the world. But they had these ancient theories of smaller components, right? These ancient theories that the world is created from these smaller components, and still saw that Venus is the thing that really pulls these things together because she attracts these things. So when I was going over, like, okay, how do we work with this as far as self understanding and awareness and development? What really came up for me the most were two references to Aphrodite Pandemos, and Aphrodite Urania. That I know Pluto talks about them, or Plato talks about them, mixing up my planets and philosophers now. And there were temples built to them, and they were readopted later in Rome. So if we start with this, and the reason why I think this is important is if we start with this, we can start with Venus Pandemos, and this just gives the range of the way that Venus was seen, or Aphrodite originally was seen, and the fact that it's all realms that she connects, right? So Venus Pandemos, roughly translated, it's the Venus of the many, right, or Venus of the common. And this was interpreted in different ways between the fact that she gathered the common people of a state, or a city state at the time, or that this is the Venus who is in love with small things, right? The Venus who causes you to fall in love with like your favorite pie, right? The Venus that causes you to fall in love with your favorite wine or beer, or fall in love with a passerby randomly, right? Just kind of that, like, oh, they're attractive. I like that, like, or I like the way they carry themselves, or I really like the way that person spoke. Like, this is Venus who causes you to fall in love with the world, the everyday world around you. And that's important, right? Because it's it's a empty life if we don't enjoy the world around us, if we don't take delight in the world around us. And Venus is really that planet who delights in the world around us. Her sign that she rules over with, Taurus, it is an earth sign. It is here. It is in this embodied existence. It is this material existence. And so really being able to take delight in the world around us is an important part of Venus. And that comes through with Venus Pandemos, where you can enjoy your Friday night, go on a date with your loved one, spend time with friends, enjoy yourself, and take it a little bit easier. And then that leads, sorry, had some technical difficulties there for a moment. So if we go to the other Venus Urania, essentially this means like Venus of the heavens, right? Like Uranus, Urania, is that Urania? We'll just go with that. Um, and so we have a much more cosmic level Venus, which has been interpreted in a whole lot of ways. From this is just the highest source of love, like this is true love, or this is love of the mind, when you love an ideal completely, and so you have full understanding of that idea. Uh, Greeks had very interesting relationships with the concept of mind and of truth. So that love of the truth, it's a love of the divine, love of the gods, love of that spiritual aspect of things. Um, Interesting enough, there were writers who said it was the love between two men, right? Like that for them was the highest state of love. There's all sorts of aspects of how people ranked this, but it was a higher sense of love. And I think what this really has always poured through with me and shown me is that yes, it is important to take the light in the world around us and the fact that we're here, we're embodied, we are indwelling in these bodies, we are having this life, and it's better to be able to enjoy it and um to enjoy it and appreciate it than to just scorn it. But at the same time, we also have to continuously remember our relationship and our love affair with the infinite, right? Which goes beyond this present moment, which goes beyond um, beyond what is happening out there and into a relationship with this higher realm, right? And so between these two Venuses, we have this whole relationship not only to ourselves and to the physical world, but to the spiritual world as well. And Fridays can be a great time to explore this dynamic aspect, and especially explore the fact that Venus was seen as a goddess who could turn the head of everything, right? Everything except for the virgin goddesses of Artemis, or Diana and Athena. Every other god and goddess, Venus was able to persuade. And that's why they married her off to Hephaestus, is that they thought that if they didn't marry her off to somebody, and so they married her off to the cripple, because they were it's ancient times and cripples were not treated well. So they saw him as not being a contender for power, because what the gods were afraid of is that any male god who ended up with Venus would then be not only would the other gods be jealous, but they would be made more powerful because she is such a powerful force. And so they married her off to Hephaestus, uh, or Vulcan in the Roman tradition. And they found ways to try to distance themselves from her power because it was believed that she could cause even the gods to fall in love. So, where we can use this in our own ways is not only like yes, there's love magic. I personally don't believe in working with that because I think it takes away from if you personally try to enchant that on a particular individual, it takes away from their freedom of will and takes away from their freedom to make decisions. And I don't believe that's an ethical thing. If you use Venus to draw to you the perfect person for you and you don't say who that is, but maybe you make a list of things you love, and you would want to see in your next partner, or your next romance, that's awesome, right? And I think that is an appropriate way to work with her. But we can also work, and we can do that in all the things of Venus Pandemos, right? We can do that with new jobs. We can do that manifesting new one time I was like, I really wish I had my a shamanic drum, but I want one that's been like blessed, and I don't know where to get one. And within the week, my teacher who studied shamanism in Siberia growing up, she gave me one of her drums. It was just like, you need to have this, and I was like, what? This is awesome. So we can use that to manifest these things, and you can also call on Venus to turn the attention of the other planets and other spiritual aspects, energies, entities, however you want to see that, to you, right? You can use that energy of Venus to build up your relationship with the entire cosmos and with any aspect of that cosmos that you're trying to build your relationship to. And that is the bridge that kind of is there with the Venus Urania or Urania, is that one of my ways of referencing Venus is the one who turns the head. Like she can just cause things to turn the head and come into inner relationship with you, right? And to give you their acknowledgement and vice versa. So that can be a really powerful way to work with her. And like I said, Friday is just being able to work with taking care of yourself, relaxing, entering into those energies of Taurus, where maybe you take a nice hot bath and you or you go and you get a massage. You really allow yourself to indulge a little bit in this physical existence of taking care of yourself and taking care of your body, or that Libra energy of going out and spending time with people, or that Pisces energy, because she's exalted in Pisces, of really connecting deeply to that spiritual dream realm and holding space and making room for that. Traditionally, so modern astrology assigns to her like roses as her plant, copper as her metal. What I work with her more on is the ancient ways, which assigns to her myrtle as her plant. Wine is something that she is associated with, right? Jupiter is associated with sacred wine, and Venus is associated with mundane wine, which is going to be pretty much all the wine that we have available because no one's growing it in the sacred way that they used to. These can be really powerful symbols for Venus. So yeah, enjoy yourself, enjoy Venus, enjoy your weekend, and thank you. Bye.